All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
To Your Eternity, Season 1, Episode 12. Oh boy.
Ah, boy.
Oh boy.
He fallen.
Bye, Gugu. No.
Bye.
No.
Bye.
See, if Gugu dies from a fall into water, when he's all big and strong and grown up and stuff, after as a child, he fell into water, and then a log crushed his head. Mm-hmm. No, he's going to be fine.
He's going to be fine.
He's going to be fine.
He's going to be okay.
He's going to be okay.
He's made of tougher stuff than that, but he might lose his mask. Because it's made of stone.
That's true. It's made of stone. Stone doesn't float too good.
Really heavy.
Yep.
So, yeah. Even if it's a thing where he hits the water and his head rattles a bit.
Yeah.
He might hit his head really hard and then be really hurt, and then he really has to take it off in order to himself and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
he's gonna be okay.
Yeah. This is really bad, but also this is an attack from the knockers.
Right.
Which means that not only is Gugu in danger, but Reen's entire family, the party, and everything is in danger.
Right. Even
this
if
could be literally the worst possible timeline again.
Yep. Even if everyone lives here from our named main characters, this peaceful life is over.
It's over.
It is over.
Because you made the decision, Fushi, to rely on Gugu.
Yep.
Which is something that the being basically warned you.
You can do that, I suppose.
That you can certainly try.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And, it worked out pretty well.
It worked out really well for years.
Yeah, for years.
But
it might not right now.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Well,
all right.
Okay.
He's
gone.
He's gone, and yet he's now living on in Fushi, and Fushi lost
March and the bear.
March and the bear, and I don't know if it's implied or not, because there was a brief bit of time that he was the wolf, but we're not. The wolf might even be lost as well. I'm not sure about that though. I don't think he did lose the wolf necessarily, because I think it was just the wolf was used to move up, and then he became March to climb on.
Yeah.
So it might just be.
I think he's still got the wolf.
I think he might still have the wolf, but holy shit!
This show, it's tough because with this show, we know that these characters are going to die. Yeah. Right. Most of them, the ones that we're most attached to. Right?
And the last few episodes have done a really good job of making us be like, no, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. Yep. We can break it up a little bit. We can make it longer. We can have time skips. We can have all this stuff of permanency attached to the idea of the characters growing by spending time with each other, and even Fushi literally grew facial hair in the time that he was staying.
But then once he transforms again, it's all gone.
He reverted basically.
And I like that's there as just a little detail for the mechanics of how it works, because it's
inferring that he never transformed, even though the narrator literally said he never transformed. It's a physical thing showing that. Well, yes,
he definitely didn't, and because he didn't, this happened. But if he ever were to, then you lose that. So and because it's something where I don't know. Sometimes I actually end up almost getting a little bit bothered by this show with how it's coming from a mile away, and they really hammer it home.
You hear that train horn long before it hits the station.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And they don't let up, right? It really twists the blade, right? Because
the pain train. It just goes right through the station, going at 100 miles an hour, and we're like, wait, I need to get on this train, or I need to get off this train. Why are you not letting me stop here?
I didn't think that Gugu was going to die this episode at the outset, right? When the episode started, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a fight and all that stuff, but this is the beginning of a new chapter.
I thought he was going to die.
Yeah, I guess I figured there was a chance, but I thought that it was going to be more of something their journey continues, and then sometime later he dies, right? Because we just had the time skip, so I figured we were kind of in the safe zone for a little bit. But no. Man.
No. I love that there was also a subtle little bit of this was a spot that the knockers core was here. But this was something where almost in some ways the reason why it was here is not because this was some special spot, but because it observed over those years, and it realized that this was the perfect place to attack once it had all the parameters set up.
Right.
And so it waited literally for all these years to set up a situation where it could then use gravity, crushing weight, freaking opening up a pit that had like freaking spikes at the bottom. Like, this thing was pissed off that Gugu kicked its ass before.
Well, but that's the thing. Gugu, it wasn't that Gugu kicked this thing's ass. They were other knockers, because when they fought the knockers, they would defeat them. They would get the cores and they would destroy them. Right. This is the first time we've actually seen one get away, and I love the complication that it brings in of. Now Gugu, or now Fushi, well, which is which, right?
Oh, right.
Doesn't have the
this
forms.
Would be a different one, sure.
Right. But
I think I'm more assuming that there was basically like a potential thing that this could be like the Elder Knocker.
Yeah.
And the other ones are minor cores of it. But I think this is a new one.
Right. And one of the other things that I'm really glad that they did is that they had it use stone. Because the fact that 2 in a row used wood, it's like, okay, that's more of just a coincidence now. Like, or wood
is very easy to find in nature, and it's decently sturdy.
Yeah, and it allows for more flexibility with some of the stuff that it does, right? Whereas the rock, it's very rigid. There's only so much you can do,
and they can't really form it together as much because it's not a living it's not a living plant of some kind yet,
right? But I love that was established, because it was one of those things where I was like, wait, are these things inherently tied to like trees?
But no,
or are they like
form.
Different seedlings from the same generational thing that was originally fused with trees or something like that, or but so
not at all.
Not at all. And that means there are all kinds of new terrifying ways that the fights with the knockers can go. Because
we could eventually get a person.
Yep. We could eventually get a person because it wasn't just the stone monster, like you said, right? It created traps and all sorts of things. It split the ground.
And it itself is a fleshy, nasty little thing there. So that's a problem. I love that the being basically came in and was like, "Hey, it's weak, and it went east. It's going away." You could go and catch it right now if you left. If you went right now, you might be able to get it. Now, obviously, Fushi doesn't have a water form, so the being is going to have a head start. But at the very least, the being was trying to set up a couple things. Well, one, probably not to weaken Fushi anymore by dealing with all these emotions, but also the thing of, you had some forms taken away. That means a lot more than just like, oh, you can't transform into the bear.
Right.
You can't transform into March.
Like there's the Fushi could get lucky and run into it later, but realistically there's no reason for him to. It's like unless
that could be a permanent loss.
Right, unless it like decides that it wants to hunt him down, but given that it almost died, I feel
there's
like
many knockers apparently.
And there's many knockers. Yeah, this is the other thing. This knocker gets away. Does it tell its friends? We don't know how the knockers.
We don't know how they communicate, or if they are individual entities with no allegiance to each other,
or how they know what the situation is. Because this one specifically went after Gugu and took on a form that Gugu's flames wouldn't have an effect on. Right. So that means that they
learned from the other ones.
It learned from the other ones that died, even though they didn't have any seemingly way to communicate, as far as we know. Right.
Well, yeah. So there's a lot we don't know about them, and this being is trying to help Gugu win in the fight against them, and that might be why this thing died, even though I still don't know actually why it died.
Oh yeah, that was really weird. Like,
it almost felt like the fire of, the flames that Gugu would use hit it from the inside and it just gave out. But then there was a second flash as well.
The part when Gugu like breathed inside it, he got under the stone.
It did basically the same thing as what it did here when it died.
That makes sense, right? Because you burn the flesh from the inside, and then suddenly the rocks fall apart. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
When it falls into water and then it just falls apart, that
feels like it's more of a thing of where maybe water as an elemental, like primal aspect of matter is something that it just can't handle,
it dissolves it or something.
Then it went and swam through the water.
Right.
So I don't think it's that either.
Yeah.
And also because the first bit where it like dissolved was like a fire explosion with steam coming off it, and then it had a rush of like blue, almost like pressurized water.
Like the best explanation that I could think of for something like that is that
it like expended all of its energy or something.
Well, or because Fushi in Gugu's form had been breathing fire on it again and again and again, that it somehow got underneath there and was already doing damage. It falls into the water and then it falls apart because the damage had already been done, but the water would put out the fire. But then, like, you know,
my guess,
yeah,
my guess is that in some level, this thing was not capable of finishing the fight without potentially dying.
Okay.
And it basically did this as a way to, like, cast off its stone form. Like, maybe it couldn't do that. It couldn't do that, you know,
sure,
manually.
It's less mobile because it's weighed down in all this stone and stuff.
Right. And maybe it learned how to do this because Gugu breathed fire on it. So it's like, wait, in a fight here, I might not win.
So
okay, I'm going to make a getaway.
Right. I'm just going to get us into water where the fire won't work, and then as soon as that happens, I don't even care about. Away. I don't even care about trying to beat him here. I just want out. Yeah.
Yeah, the water is a great getaway.
Right.
Holy shit. Okay. But the way that they decided to end this. So Gugu dies. Gugu dies. Fushi feels him dying. Like, he literally feels the physical pain of him dying, which means the connection that he gained empathically from the experiences and the stimulation was such that he was ready to transform before Gugu even died.
Probably, yeah.
But he didn't until Gugu died, so there might be some world building there that he can't transform until the being has died.
It requires the ultimate stimulation of feeling their death or something like that.
Right, or it's some kind of law of the universe where you can't have two of the same being.
Right.
And that's maybe why the knockers are also such an abomination, is that they need to take something in order to inhabit that form. We'll see what they do with that later. But the idea that then when Rin, who finally wakes up, goes back to find Gugu, to tell him everything, to thank him everything, Fushi panics, being like, I can't be in this form. Not just because he wants to be in Gugu's form to make her like feel better about this, because it's really kind of him to try and do something. But the idea that he probably couldn't look her in the eyes himself and be like, I let Gugu die.
Yep.
He protected me again, and it's because of me that he is dead. Oh, that's the part that hurts, because Gugu. Fushi has learned so much. He understands the emotional complexities of what's going on here now. That time skip gave him the understanding.
The part where he ends up explaining to Boozman and Granny, and there's no sound, words, right? We don't get to hear what he says.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite scenes from the episode, because when we think about where Fushi started, right, he couldn't even speak, right, and even when he started to learn how to talk before the time skip and everything, it was very broken. He didn't fully understand a lot of concepts and things like that, you know, but he was learning, right, and then after the time skip, we're like, He knows how to carry a conversation. He is very emotionally in tune with the people around him and able to communicate about those kinds of things. And then he has to explain to them that Gugu's gone.
Yeah, with Gugu's brother.
God.
And the brother being probably like, I probably caused this too. Like, this is also probably because of me. If I hadn't... If I hadn't been such a shit brother, like, this wouldn't have happened.
A whole lot of this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Now, in some ways, you know, that was so far back that who's to know how many other things would have changed, dramatically.
And Gugu wouldn't have given up having known these people for the world.
Yeah, and Fushi might never have met Gugu.
Yep, also. Probably wouldn't have, yeah.
So there's all this stuff that happened, but just the fact that then we get to see, like with what happened with March, because... Gugu understands. He's a lot older. He's a lot more mature than March. He's able to kind of see what's happening here, and then just when they embrace each other, and he kind of finishes the circle, is just so good. And then having the time where he's seeing March like still near Fushi.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's really interesting,
especially because like originally I was thinking that. Until like just now, I was thinking that it was something where it was like the forms.
Yes,
like,
but it's not.
Like the forms are a form of like soul absorption or something, right? But it's not because March was taken away.
March was taken away.
So why is she still there?
Right. The fact that so let me break this down from a story perspective here, or sorry, from like a meta story perspective. The ghost thing isn't necessarily real in terms of the story. It can be a beautiful thing for us, the audience, to feel the emotional connection of an aspect there. This doesn't mean necessarily that ghosts are a part of the world building here.
Even though they could be.
Even though they absolutely could be. But I would say there's more likelihood that they are once a ghost saw another ghost.
Right. And a ghost that, like, yes, he saw Fushi in March's form before, but he would have no reason to, like, you know, like, he has no connection to March individually.
Right.
You know, so what's the point?
Maybe Fushi told him a lot of his story over the course of those 4 years.
Sure, yeah.
But either way, once March was seen by Gugu, that was world building.
And the other thing that I thought was interesting about that is that the March that Gugu saw had personality. She was like hiding behind like a wall or something like that, right? That is definitely something that like a child would do.
Yeah.
One of the things that's, you know, almost a little bit like, if we didn't love Fushi and March so much, it would be almost a little bit creepy, is the times that when Fushi transforms into March, and she's clearly not a kid, right? But she's doing, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? It's that dissonance.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that here. No. This was not the March that Gugu would have seen. This is the March that Fushi saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has implications.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that they've basically teased for future stuff in this story for the world. But having the emotional just triple hit of, okay, Gugu survived the cliff, you know, situation because the creature would have had tendrils that would have been interacting with the rubble to knock it down. So therefore he grabs onto one of those. Yep. I liked that logically, even though we didn't see them in the previous episode. That's okay. Then when they get out of this, the reason why he dies is because he's trying to help Fushi, his brother, who then he's then able to save, but then because of him doing this, he would have gotten crushed again. Rin does the thing that he did for her back when he was a kid to keep him from getting crushed, so that then when this all keeps going, he can pay the kindness back to her again to keep her from getting crushed.
There were a lot
by taking the sacrifice there. So it's like poetry. It rhymes. Like it kept cycling back on itself of the ways in which humanity's struggle is that we put each other through so much pain because we care about each other, but it's the thing of where we would absolutely do the same thing back because of that love.
There were a lot of things that happened specifically with Rin this episode that I really liked.
Oh yeah.
There's just the whole thing of her going and you know, finding Fushi as Gugu and all that stuff. That was
and now we know that there was a sneaking part of her that was like, she kind of probably suspected what was going on. Gugu wasn't acting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They'd spent 4 years together.
Yep. Exactly. And you know, Boozman and them could have also told her after Fushi left. You know, like,
I'm sure. But
yeah,
they could have. But, but either way.
Yep.
Whether she found out at the flower bed or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. But the fact that she saved Gugu by pushing him out of the way of the falling rocks and everything, I love it from the standpoint of now she's saving him when he saved her. But it's also a thing of showing that they really found a way to connect on a deep level, because the biggest concern that she had was that little scrape that she got when Gugu saved her. Gugu got his face disfigured, right? And that completely changed his life. By her doing that, she is risking the same kind of a thing that, even though she hadn't seen Gugu's face by that point, right? She knows that that is something that's possible, right? And she did it, right? She did it, awesome. And then when he saves her and she lifts up the mask and she kisses him. Now, the kiss is great, right? But my favorite part about it is the fact that she lifts the mask. Like that's some Darth Vader, like, let me see you with my own eyes, but like, let me see your real face. You know, like I love it. Like that was awesome. And also, as just a little thing that I appreciated, once she lifts his mask, or either when she lifts his mask or when she kisses him, he stops trembling.
Well, if anything, I think he stopped trembling because they were focusing on key individual aspects of his body rather than zoomed out.
Yeah, it could have been like a directing choice and stuff.
There was also like the crying of blood, basically, just the blood that just dripped down from the face and landed on hers, basically like a tear of sorts of like, I have been wanting to be, you know, this close to you to where I could show you who I am and have you look at me this way.
Right.
But I'm so sad it has to be like this. And yet
And
okay, she accepts it. And in some ways, I think she was ready to die. I think she was ready to die there.
Right.
Now,
she got lucky. And someone saved her. And
Gugu saved her.
Well, right, but also, the people then helped,
right.
Pick
but
rubble off and
I think the implication is that Gugu held the rubble up. The whole time.
Shit.
If you want to go even more badass here, this is weird.
Rigor mortis set in. And
but that takes too long.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's more the thing of where he probably passed out from blood loss or something.
Sure, yeah.
Or from lack of oxygen. And then she probably did as well. Then, they find him eventually. And even if it's a thing of where he was alive, he died probably from, breaking his back, his spine or something, or anything else. Yeah.
Right.
But I like on a small detail thing that's a very different thing from what happened with March, is that March was almost a bit too violent for me. It's partially because March was a little kid. And I think that there's unspoken rules in television about what you can do to kids on screen when they're below a certain age, in terms of violence. And I think that it was absolutely below the line of what would be too over the top with March, but it came close.
Yeah.
But with Gugu, there was almost this spiritual aspect to it where we don't see him actually die.
Yeah, we don't see him actually die. When they take out the body, the body is not mangled, disfigured, or bloodied, right?
Yeah, we don't even really see any details at all.
Yeah, like the fact that the blood came from the face after she opened the mask, even that feels like something it didn't necessarily have to be literally that, because it's more of she's looking at him for who he truly is, and right now he is broken, right? So there's blood, right?
Right.
But from the standpoint of his sacrifice and everything that he is doing, his body is still immaculate, even though he's untarnished, even though he's already been crushed by, and the blood was coming from the one place that was actually protected, right? It's inside his stone helmet.
I actually really liked that detail, because I think what's implied is that his stone helmet is such that it's situated perfectly on his head, right? But there's probably stuff in here to keep it from actually hitting his head,
jostling
and that probably broke. He probably took enough hits that it was banging against his head. And I'll tell you, you crack any bit of the skin on the face, you bleed like no tomorrow. It's ridiculous.
Your brain needs a lot of blood, so it's
well, I mean, it's not even on your brain because it's your skull.
No, but your head has a lot of
but
blood going through.
But if any of you have seen a boxer or something like that cut right here on their eye or what have you, it's just whoosh, it just goes.
Well, and then it could also be the thing of it was all internal bleeding and stuff, and so there was just blood that he was maybe coughing up in his mask or something like that, right? And then suddenly there it goes. But
I loved so much the fact that we got all that time with Ghost Gugu, but the dream that Gugu had as well was just the extra knife in the feels there, because having him get to see what it would have been like in some ways if he had never met Fushi.
Right.
If all this had gone the way, it could have, the best timeline.
Right, he had never even needed to save Reen, right? And, and he had saved her dog, and they had, become friends and everything, and...
Yeah. I really like that he got that, because the more and more I think about the ghost thing, and then the fact of what might be happening actually with regards to taking a form when they die.
Sure.
And then you're talking about soul absorption and then all that. There's definitely a world-building implication there that the being will probably eventually, when Fushi starts asking questions about it, he'll be like, okay, now we're ready to have that conversation.
Right. What are the similarities between you and the Knockers?
Exactly. Yeah. What does that all mean? Yeah, I couldn't tell you that when you were a kid. Right. I needed you to have experienced a lot of loss. And maybe there will be a beautiful moment where the being basically goes, no, I need you to keep going. And not just me. And then he lifts up the veil and he shows that all these people who have basically been maybe the ones that have been forms that he's taken or he's had stimulation with across all time or what have you. They're all with him, urging him on, go, Fushi, go, keep living. We believe in you. We love you. We care about you. And that I expect that to be like either series ending stuff or like season ending stuff, like very serious stuff.
Yeah, this show is absolutely set up to have one of those power of friendship kind of moments where all of the people that he's known, all the connections he's had, come together for the final battle or whatever it ends up being.
Or the final journey.
Right, exactly. But another thing I gotta say that I really like is that the god being or whatever really doesn't force him to do anything.
Nope.
Even when it's showing up after the choice that he made went badly, right? Yeah. And he's saying like, don't go back, right? It's a thing of, this is what I think is best for you. Fushi still doesn't do it, but it's the okay, like there's it. I very much get the vibe from this being that he does want Fushi to learn, right?
Oh, yeah,
and absolutely. It would be very easy in a situation like this where for the god to come across as utilitarian, you're my tool that I put into this world to basically get some objective achieved.
Yeah, that was the point of the line. It said, I don't remember how many episodes ago it was, but it was like the value of life, getting the freedom to choose. Like that is such an important aspect to life. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that makes me way more interested in this god being or whatever as a character. Yeah. But okay.
All right. We took a big L. And Fushi's moving on. So we could get another time skip.
Sure.
We could get a whole new cast of characters.
Probably.
I could definitely see this being a situation where they time skip to where, like, maybe some characters show back up again. Like, we see Rain, and she's older now.
Sure.
And, like, maybe she never did get married. Or something like that.
Yeah, because with the transition to this arc, you very much needed there to be like a concrete throughput for how it would happen, because Fushi wasn't really capable of taking care of himself, right? He couldn't speak, all these other things, right? Yeah. The fact that he got March originally was very lucky, basically. Right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, grandma, and then she brings him here, and cool, there you go, right? But for this next one, because he's independent now, we could do anything, right? And it would really feel like it would make sense.
I could see him going back to the city.
Sure.
City had a lot of stimulation, but he would also know how to do city life.
He finds the girl and is like, teach me to fight, or something.
Sure.
Who knows?
But also, if he has Gugu's form, like, that might be a thing of where he then experiences a lot of the things that Gugu did, of like the fear and the ridicule, and just like, hey, whoa, but it's in a new land, in a new area where nobody knows him. So there's not this thing of like, oh yeah, we like you now, you're the one that helped out Booze Man. It's like, no, he could go like 1,000 miles away. It takes him like years to get there and stuff, and it's like,
and this form will be much better for protecting himself than the Fushi form.
Oh, absolutely.
So I could totally see it being something where that's the one he takes.
Right, and then we get that shot from the OP where Gugu throws a spear.
While like jumping through the air or something.
Yeah, which is very much a, like, I mean, I mentioned it back then. I'm like, okay, of course, how did I not clue in back then that was always... Fushi.
Well, right, because eventually Fushi's going to take the form, but
all right. No, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.